set out on my pallet before I came, so I'm going to get stuck in straight away without messing about. I have to be up and painting within 2 minutes. Marvellous subject this. Right, there goes. Put a few of these in. See the tree like that. Over it. Get some of this blue shadow while the sun's out, that's the main thing. French ultramarine zinc white I'm using here. See, the sunlight's just started to go in again a bit. I was getting these shadows painted in here. French ultramarine, cadmium red and white, a bit of blue black. Trying to get a figure in here, so there we go with the figure coming along. There we go. Just have two figures there. Pop these in quickly. Get some of the paint, some of the snow that's on the tree, which is not quite so blue, because it hasn't got this blue reflection from the sky directly on it. So what's left is a bit of blue black in there. I've just lost the sun a little bit, but I can keep working just from what I've seen and just from memory. I paint fairly thick paint over the paint that's already on the canvas with this bluey grey colour. So normally I would, if the weather changed, I would stop painting, but I have sort of memorised some of this, so I can carry on and just do a certain amount of it, just from memory. As long as the main thing is to remember what you've seen and not try and paint the colours that are there now, because that has changed. Obviously, this white has completely changed. So the only thing you can do now is just look at the paint, the scene, and do any drawing. I can draw those trees in because I remember what the colours that was. It's the same as this sort of tone, and concentrate on the drawing side of it. Bit of cadmium red in there. I'm just going to tilt the painting a little bit to stop the rain getting on it. Just paint up to the edges a bit. Looking at the sky, I think that's it for now. I think it's more clouds coming. This is one of the hazards of being painting outside, but there's nothing you can do about it. So I might go back to the studio and take us back to the studio now and carry on there. Just redo those figures a little bit. So at least starting this painting outside, I think they always impart a little bit more freshness and liveliness in the painting that you've had to work on very quickly. Now these decisions about the colours, like the red there for instance, it's the same sort of decision that if you were working on an abstract painting, it's a matter of thinking where or deciding where you're going to place certain colours, and this is exactly the same decisions I have to make in this my work. So I think we're just going to paint a little bit more of this shadow first with the French ultramarine blue, zinc white and a bit of cadmium red. Just get nice soft edges on these shadows, especially as they get closer and further away from the tree. I can work out roughly where the shadows are going to go just from looking at the branches on the tree. A similar pattern on the ground. They haven't got to be exact. The thing is just to get the general description of the tree, and the sort of shapes obviously relate to, and the tree relate to the shadow, the pattern of the shadow on the snow. So we see, just still painting this fairly quickly as I would same method of painting as I use outdoors. Although of course it gives you more time to consider the colours that I wish to introduce, say on the clothing, or the different colours of the sledges, which are good opportunity to just give a nice sparkle and bit of some brightness and excitement to the picture. It'll take a little bit more of this paint off and repaint this wall, where this snow, the paint's got a little bit sort of a dirty white because it's been picking the paint up from underneath. I'm just going to redo that. Some cleaner paint. Just paint the wall that's still showing in between the snow here. Just a burnt sienna. It's a bit too dark, that is. So there's not a lot of contrast in the colour or the tone between the wall and these trees. Pretty much the same. Use the same paint and the same size brush to do a little bit more work on there. Now, I think there's a little bit of sunlight. I can remember just catching the top of the wall, so I'm going to use a bit of titanium white and cadmium lemon. So it is quite a sort of yellowish sunlight, I remember. It's got that yellow tinge to it. And yellow up again into the sky, but it was quite a strong yellow there. I like to paint the shapes in between these branches. All sort of pattern making. Too much blue in that. Got to get it just right. This. Right, just going to carry on with these figures. Just redraw these a little bit more. I might just use a sable here just to do a little bit of drawing. Don't want to start getting them too precise or over painted compared to the rest of the picture, but it's ivory black in here. I think keeping these a good strong dark colour helps the contrast between there and this rather nice colour in the snow. Then we're going to just have to figure out they're pulling this sledge, or perhaps carrying one. Yeah, just put a nice slab of red out there again. I'm just going to repaint that, stop any dirt getting into that red. Just going to go with a cadmium red first. Just one go at that. Now I'm just going to lay a little bit of cadmium scarlet in that, which is a little bit hotter. It looks like the sunlight's coming through there. It's giving us a little bit of a glow, that has. I think this one I'm just going to keep it into a... I don't want another hot colour there, so I'm going to try this blue, thylacine blue. This with a white. I could try a yellow there and see what it looks like. If it's no good, we can just rub it out. Yes, I think that's okay. There's a bit of lighter yellow there. That's it for the colour. So it's simple really. Red, yellow, blue and yellow. And they've got these blues and the darker tones, and that's a simple colour scheme I'm going to use for this. So I mustn't forget to just paint the shadows in from this these figures. Just a little bit of light catching the figure here, but it's not going to have a lot of contrast on it. We've got a dark colour. So these sort of colours I'm putting on now, they are from memory and an observation. Cadmium yellow lemon. Once it's dried in a week, I might just give it another scraping over of this same colour just to make it even a little bit brighter. It's a little bit more sparkle. Just a little bit of dark yellow ochre. Due to the reflection off the snow, just lightens that tree there. I think I'll leave it at that. Half the paintings I do are painted outside on the spot, so it's been in front of the subject, and then I do about a size of about 12 by 14 or 14-18 inches or 16-20, especially if it's sort of early in the morning or late afternoon when the sun's changing. Sort of an hour and a half is the maximum, an hour even, because of the difference in how the sunlight is going to change. Of course, in the studio I can do bigger pictures. I probably go, this is 25, 30 inches, and I go up to about 36, 40, 40, 50. Either using smaller paintings and sort of enlarging the composition, or using drawings like this demonstration this morning. So that's this is in Costa Brava. A place called Le Franc in Costa Brava, and that's a little pencil drawing. This is like a wax pencil I use for that. It's like a terracotta, but it's a very soft one. That's the actual pencil, you see. It's very soft. Doesn't come off like pastel, doesn't smudge like pastel. So these are, and I've got books, well, 200 or 300 books with thousands of drawings in like this, you see. So I can just use these to build up compositions with figures in, especially in the I use this more in the studio. So I want to I've got a large painting, I want extra figures in. I can flick through this and just keep finding new figures, which are always better to do. So I've just enlarged that drawing with a charcoal onto a sheet. These are just what I call working drawings, like just scrap afterwards. They're not for exhibition or anything. I just use them in order to do the painting. So what I'll do is copy that sketch onto this canvas. I think I should just paint it straight on with a paintbrush. And this is like a oil prime canvas, which you buy in big rolls of prime, which is prime white. And then to get rid of the white, I just get a cloth soaked in turps and rub a bit of brown or a mixture of bits of what's left on the palette and just get rid of the white. It's a lot easier. I find it's a lot easier to paint onto a mid-tone canvas. Whereas a bright white, if you put any like a bright yellow on a white canvas, it doesn't register the same as if you put a yellow on there. So this area is going to be quite sort of darker tone. This is like the sunlight's on the sea there, so it's going to be sort of mid-tone, and then the brightest light and contrast in this area. I'll just sort of indicate a few of these figures just to get the scale right. It's quite interesting, this beach actually. It sort of went like a dip there, I suppose, just where the sea had washed the sand away. So it's quite interesting. You got these. So you've got the shadows going down the sort of curve there, and then again here. Well, this is of course the beauty with using oil paints and like this. If you make a mistake or you do want to change anything, just rub it out. Which is why I don't use watercolours. But also you can sort of mix this paint with the terps to bring it down as thin as watercolour, of course. So you've got best of both worlds, I think. I mean, you could paint this beach, so they paint all the sand, and then paint the figures on the top. But I prefer I like to do the larger shapes anyway, or the larger figures. Paint those in, and then paint the background around it. I often like to keep an area sort of like this fairly plain as well, because it makes a good contrast with what's happening in the rest of the picture. That would be about as much paint drawing I would do if I was working outside. So it's fairly dark, this is, you see, this is keep this really as simple as possible, this. I think I'm painting just to try and fill this in, get the tones right on these buildings, which are all sort of light white coloured buildings, but in the shadow, you see. So they'll be like a bluey grey. So I'll use a bit of black and cobalt blue, perhaps. Just a touch of cadmium red in there. Cadmium red and black actually make rather nice greys. Bluey grey, what's that colour? Oh yeah. One of the things, like with doing buildings, you see, you've got to not get involved in doing architectural studies of them. Well, for me this is. As long as the tone and the colour is absolutely spot on, which I think that is the main thing, rather than getting every window and door in. So I'll just put a few of the sort of windows and doors and things just to give it a sense of scale. So again, just a darker, sort of a dark tone there. Start up here and just. That'll be enough sort of detail there for now. Just gives you the sort of scale of the place, you see, if you get a little bit of the detail in. Bit of red for these, you know, these French, Spanish roofs, red tiles, and some of this green tone up to the, so it brings it right up to the greys. If you just finish that off. That ivory black and a bit of yellow oak, because it was a sort of that sort of grey wall, not too dark. I mean, it was sort of about that tone. It sort of just curves around a little bit like that. Nice deep green for the sea is in the shadow, so I'm going to use a bit of cobalt blue there. And a viridian green. So this, the way I'm painting it, it's just the same way I would use if no matter what the subject was. I mean, it shouldn't make any difference really. Because whatever the subject is, what you're doing is painting, is you're trying to create a series of shapes and colours and nothing else really. As long as it's, as long as I've got sunshine, you see, which is what I like to paint, sunlight and shadows and reflections and things. But yeah, I mean, India is marvellous for the colours. Thanks, yes. I mean, you get some nice, you know, I like the colours there, the oak, yellow ochres and reds and all the individual colours that people wear. I mean, they're marvellous. And as I say, because of the sunlight, really, especially in the middle of the winter, you know, in our winter. So these are going to be fairly dark because they're not only probably because they've obviously got suntans, but I mean because they're set against the sunlight, you see, against the light. So everything's going to lack colour here, unless there are any transparent objects on the beach, which they always are. I'll get a bit of black on there for the establish some blacks, a bit of contrast here. Or black and burnt sienna, perhaps. Sometimes you can look at the beach, depending on the light, and the skin tones are exactly the same as the sand. Although, of course, I'm looking towards the sun, the skin is going to be quite a bit darker. When I paint the background against this figure, you know, it can just correct the. It doesn't look quite in proportion, or I want some alterations doing to it. So it gives you another go at doing that, a second chance of painting the background around the figure. So in a little while, perhaps have a look through my drawing book, see if I can find any more interesting figures to put in this picture. I'll just paint a little bit of light, say on the one of the figures, just to get a skin So we can see the skin tones. That's cadmium red and a bit of cadmium yellow there. So just from, obviously, I know from memory, but also you can just work out where the sunlight would catch these figures. Which is really a nice thing to paint. Favourite part of the painting is painting some of the light, the sunlight areas. It sort of gives starts to make the painting come alive. A bit of cadmium orange perhaps there. The beauty of putting this toned canvas, when you put yellow, ochre and white on, it registers straight away, and you can also use the background, the canvas itself. It'll give a bit of texture. You can see some of that after the painting's finished. You can use that as part of the picture. This is going to be just a little bit of the sea in the shadow. It's a similar colour really to the white in the shade on these buildings. And then I'm going to have quite a good contrast there where the sunlight hits the water as well. Some more zinc white and a bit of that cadmium lemon there. So you get this brilliant white. Surf. So the sun, I mean, the sea picks up a bit of sand with it, so often the edges can be have a bit of a sandy colour or brown in them, in the waves. See, I mean, whether this sea would be too rough to put one of these things it's irrelevant, really. I mean, the main thing is, does it work as a painting? Yeah, and at the end of the day, there's nothing else that matters apart from the fact, does it work as a painting? And those are always useful things, I think, to use, because you can use that as like a fluorescent, or transparent object there. The sunlight can be coming through that. A couple of interesting legs sticking up there. So I've got some cobalt blue, bit of red, bit of black there. Try a bit of that pink. Oh, I've got some Indian red as well. So it makes that colour from a variety of colours, really. It doesn't. So they're quite long shadows here. Just trying to think of these, it's like reversing it upside down, isn't it? Inverting that figure. I've been doing them for years, but still find it difficult. Going to be a bit of a shadow from this wall, obviously, so on the sand, so that's going to be similar colour. Nice. Down to say about there, it slopes down that east, does there? So it's just cobalt blue, really, I think. A bit of black. Say there's foam and finishes there, and then this sand's wet, and we'll have some reflections on the wet sand. So we've got shadows and reflections. Yeah. Just to make it more complicated. This zinc white is quite a nice sort of buttery paint to use for this this part of the, if you're painting this sort of wet sand, wet foam in the sea here. A touch of green, Meridian green, at least more white as well. The dark tones here, that's where the footprints are. Permanent rose with white. So it's just cadmium orange on its own, this is. I'm going to mix it with a Venetian red, just for the area where it's sort of in the sunlight, not directly on it. Just to make that contrast, makes the orange look even brighter. Paint this some yellow, warm sky. So it's late afternoon, so it's quite a warm colour in the sky there. I mean, the tone of it is about right as it is, you see, with the tone canvas. I'm just going to put some...
Is that still the zinc, Andrew?
Yes, yeah. So obviously the sand is slightly paler as you're looking towards the light, and a little bit, drop a bit deeper towards the bottom of the painting. So I've got turps with this, just to put it on a very wet and thin, so you can still see the underpainting coming through a little bit. So this colour, obviously this sea, you're going to get a bit of this colour mixed in. I don't want to get these figures, I don't want to get them too accurate, otherwise you're going to sort of focus on one figure rather than it be, you know, part of the whole, just form another part of the whole painting. Right, I'll put a few more blacks and dark areas there. Got some ivory black again. But at the same time, you don't want them to be too... they've got to be done with a certain accuracy, otherwise it becomes a distraction in the picture. So it's just trying to get the right balance. A nice strong colour that is. Oh, actually perhaps we ought to have a little too repetitive. That I'll put a blue, cobalt blue there. A few blacks here, I think. Of course, we've got these footprints and things. I mean, they always part of the form part of it. You know, there are patterns that exist, so you can use these. So useful things too. So he was standing with a towel, which was sort of in his arms like that, and so the sunlight would have just come through part of the towel and his shadow on the rest of it. Right, so the paint is showing. I'm going to have a shadow for that, of course. I've got to just see what it looks like in one of my special frames. See if it'll improve it. In my old picture frame, I used to say, good painting deserves a good frame and a bad one needs one. Cadmium scarlet, which is rather nice. Put that on top of the red. So you give it quite a glow here. And the orange, add a bit of cadmium scarlet to the orange. Give that it. With the sunlight, just to emphasise that, paint it's the shadow here. So you've got a deep orange. Just to redraw these a little bit. Just redraw around this figure, I think, a little bit. Burnt sienna and a bit of black there. To concentrate on the surf, which is sort of brilliant white. Titanium white and a bit of that yellow. Was really a powerful sea there. Huge waves. So grey greens where the surf is sort of not catching the direct light. I'll just paint into these shadows on the sand, just put a bit of reflected light in those. It's a bit of sunlight on these figures here. Only got a few footprints going up on this beach. You're bound to get some of these sort of bluey mauve tints where white is set against the sunlight, and give a good contrast. Nice neutral grey, dark grey, green here. This wall, that makes a good contrast. Yellow ochre and ivory black or blue black. Oh, let's leave that and have a look at it in another week.